Metabolic syndrome, you have heard about it. My interest is whether the metabolic syndrome can produce a cognitive decline. So, the new term called metabolic cognitive syndrome. Why this is important? We do have our own clients who were made atypical by us. The clients are really typical basically. We made atypical with our topic of the atypical means the thin patient client which has come to you became fat and obese and diabetic. You manufactured a problem. So it is atypical. So atypical antipsychotics, umpteen classifications are there. I feel atypical in side effects, atypical in structure. I mean, there are so many atypicality as far as I'm concerned. I have got my own criteria, so which I don't want to highlight here. So some of the so-called second generation, that's also funny word. First generation, second generation, third generation. What is the half-life of a generation? We do not know. So what is first generation? We do not know. So these are also fanciful terms. But we do have different drugs with a diverse receptor occupancy, and the pharmaceuticals claim that this is better than the other, and the side effect profile also vary across individual molecule. For example, among the typical, do you think the typicals are really typical? No. They are a diverse group. Chlorpromazine is different from trifluoroacid. But abroad they don't use it because they don't get much leverage. That's what perfenacin, even the trials you can see. But in India, still, many of the psychiatrists use trifluoroacid. If you ask me very personally, Mohandas, what is the best drug? I think gold is gold sometimes. However, there are many new things we have to really imbibe upon. And what among the new, what all side effects are there, can we differentiate, can we really choose from the basket? We have got enough drugs in the basket and we are really confused as to which one to be taken. This is the drugs. Metabolic syndrome, everybody knows. I think this audience knows metabolic syndrome. As soon as the atypicals have come, especially when they heard about clozapine and olanzapine, umpteen discussion would have really gone across to the metabolic syndrome. Especially the visceral obesity and insulin resistance, that you know. Indians have got a separate adiposity index. Especially if you just read the endocrinology journals from India, we have got a separate adiposity index, which I am not going to give details, because even our BMI data across India is different. I mean, unlike Western, we have got our own Indian BMI data. And India is probably the place which says yes, we are number one in what? Diabetes. So it's a diabetic capital of the world. In a diabetic capital of the world, the type of drugs that we use it, that we have to really have a rethinking and relook at it. So visceral obesity, insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, dyslipidemia, hypertension, procoagulative states, and especially this disturbance in hemostasis and fibrinolysis, we have that really dictates metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome especially make you prone 2 times for cardiovascular problems and 5 times for diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. That I think you all know. If you want to go through it, a beautiful thing in nature, especially this cartoon is from there. So, recap: insulin-resistant, glucose intolerance, and type 2 diabetes mellitus, obesity, mainly central or abdominal, arterial hypertension, hyperuricemia, endothelial dysfunction, and procoagulant state. That is why some of the atypicals, when you use it, you can get pulmonary embolism, and that is why procoagulant state. So, metabolic syndrome, if a person on olanzapine or clozapine, if they have a metabolic syndrome, and if they get a pulmonary embolism, don't be surprised, it's because of the procoagulant state, which is part of metabolic syndrome. There are reports. Now, when we talk about diabetes mellitus, you have to also think on the other side, insulin. Insulin and cognition is a relationship. Chronic intranasal insulin administration improves cognitive performance. Insulin increases NMDA and AMPA and GABA receptor surface expression. Insulin and insulin-like growth factors regulate neuronal survival, energy metabolism, and plasticity. Hyperglycemia and periodic hypoglycemia. Even if you give insulin, suddenly if they get a periodic hypoglycemia because drugs rated, that produces maximum cognitive damage and also delirious states. Chronic delirium, some people talk about it. And the new term which has come, they are more prone to have it if you get a recurrent hypoglycemic attack. Down-regulated expression of insulin receptor, especially insulin receptor signaling, IGF-1 receptor, IGF-1R, I will not go into details. What is insulin receptor signaling, IGF-1, 2, all these things that will be in another lecture. And also insulin receptor substrate, IRS1 and IRS2 in Alzheimer's disease. This is all cognitive disturbance, they were correlating with the degenerative disorders, especially in Alzheimer's. That is why when you get elderly people for the first time diabetes, always look for the cognitive decline. It may be a forerunner of Alzheimer's. So elderly, sudden onset of diabetes mellitus, always think, rule out. You have to do a cognitive measure. GSK3, glycogen synthase kinase 3, is a key member in the cascade, promotes beta production, beta amyloid production, and also it can produce abnormal phosphorylation of tau. The question is, where some of the atypicals, if they produce cognitive decline, are they forerunner of a Alzheimer-like symptomatology? Are we doing more harm to them? This is the question. Insulin glucose and regulation, especially hyperglycemia, especially glucose dysregulation, can decrease cognition because of the glycation, advanced glycation and products, you would have read about it, and increase inflammation. I am talking about neuroinflammation, altered myelin formation, and endothelial dysfunction and microinfarcts. And it can produce the insulin degrading enzyme, ID, especially it inhibits that, and tau hyperphosphorylation. Hypertension, it is almost like giving a ladder to the already jumping monkey. So, monkey can even otherwise jump. You give a ladder, it is easy to jump. So, already but you have got a glucose dysregulation, then there is a double propensity for cardiovascular disorders, so hypertension and further endothelial dysfunction. Dyslipidemia can even produce amyloid angiopathy and increases beta amyloid deposition. So these are in the literature. Obesity, same. So can produce. What about diabetes mellitus and cognition? This is just a cartoon, whatever I have told. Atherosclerosis, arterial brain infarcts, microvascular disease, glucose toxicity can produce advanced glycation products. It can produce neurodegeneration, oxidative stress. That's the oxidative stress hypothesis of all neurodegenerative disorders, and also insulin dysfunction. It can produce either vascular aging, normal aging, it can have early aging, or even Alzheimerogenesis, if at all you want to have like Alzheimer's, Alzheimer-like changes you can get, not Alzheimer, Alzheimer-like. And diabetes can predispose all these things. Now what is metabolic cognitive syndrome? If there's a metabolic syndrome, like obesity, central obesity, hypertension, all these things that I have already told you, it can affect the leptin signaling system, it can affect the insulin and cortisol, it can produce even alpha secretase, especially in Alzheimer's. Alpha secretase is, if you increase alpha secretase, it really protects your cognition. So it can inhibit alpha secretase. And beta secretase activation, gamma secretase activation. Are you okay? Yeah. And beta secretase and gamma secretase can be activated by the renin angiotensin aldosterone system. What we do in Alzheimer's is we usually want to try gamma and beta secretase inhibitors. These are all experimental. So if it is activated, that is toxic amyloid can happen. And tau hyperphosphorylation is not only in Alzheimer's. Taupathis are plenty. That's entirely different. Vascular changes, you can get it. That can produce reactive oxygen species. That is your oxidative stress system. You can get Alzheimer's pathology. It can affect the insulin degrading enzyme. And it can even advance glycation end products also can affect your signaling system, GNK, ERK, and the capsule system, apoptosis, tabu, all these things. So, in summary, metabolic syndrome can have a deleterious effect on the cognition. Meaning, metabolic gain and cognitive decline. This is cognitive decline, not the occipital side. This is only for a figurative thing. It's only figurative. Only figurative. Because I am losing hair here, but I haven't lost more hair here. That's not any significance. So obesity, carbohydrate metabolism, and lipid metabolism, very high with clozapine and olanzapine, that everybody knows it. High for even quetiapine. Earlier when quetiapine was launched,